Hi everybody, welcome to my kitchen. So today we are doing something a little different. I've decided to just let you in on my food storing processes, just to help you to keep your food fresher for longer. Because with us just having been through the lockdown, it's become very important for you to be able to plan your meals so that you have food for longer, and that becomes a little bit tricky when you're looking at fresh vegetables and fruits, especially if you have a large family like I do. So I use a few tricks to make sure that my rand goes a bit further, and I'm going to share those tips with you in today's show. So before we begin, just remember to like the video, to give a little comment, let me know what else you are having issues with storing, and or your storing ideas that you want to share with me and everyone else. And remember to subscribe. So let's get to it. So first in line, we've got the onion. Now I use the onion in most of my dishes, so it's the one that I normally have the largest quantity of. But taking care of onions or making sure that they don't sprout or that they don't go wrong, it is actually quite easy because they are not as finicky as the other vegetables. Think about it. All you need to do to make sure that your onion stays fresh for longer is you need to keep it in a cool, dry, and dark place. Wow, that sounds like a horror movie, but you understand what I mean, right? So away from the light, make sure that it is dry. It's not, damp or anything like that, and the darkness is going to help it not sprout. So if you've got your onion on the top of a counter, you're going to find that it's going to start to sprout much sooner than it would if it is in a dry, dark place. That's where it needs to be. And along with the onion is garlic. So I've got a half a garlic bulb here, but along with the onion is garlic. So garlic also dry, dark, cool place, and onion and garlic you can put together. They don't mind that at all. So putting them together away is actually going to ensure that they stay fresh for long and they don't hurt each other in any way. So next in line is the potato. Now, this is an interesting thing. The potato needs the same conditions as the onion and as the garlic. So we are also looking at a dry, dark, and cool place. But what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't put your potatoes together with your onions. Who would have thought of that? When I was doing the research for the video to make sure that I had all the pointers to be able to share with you, I found out some really weird things, including the fact that when you put your potatoes together with your onions, they actually start to go off quicker. Who would have known? Who would have thunk? Next in line is the squash. Now, the squash also needs the same type of environment to be able to stay fresh for longer, and we all know that squash goes off very quickly. So we are looking at about a lifespan of about a week if you put it on your kitchen counter. But if you can put it in a dry, cool, and dark place, then you are going to prolong its life a little bit. So we're looking at about 2 weeks of it still being green before it goes that funny yellow orange color, and still having the squash inside that you can cook and be able to eat and enjoy. So this one is almost on the way out because everyone else was sitting on the counter. I just left it there so that I could show you that on day 4 it actually starts to give in. So you know that the squash has like a hard outside layer. That actually starts to go only on day 4. So if you want it to last longer, just make sure that you keep it in the right conditions, that you don't have to worry about replacing it or even throwing food away. So next in line, we've got tomatoes. So to be honest, for the longest time in my life, I have been keeping my tomatoes in the fridge, right? You know when your fridge has a crisper room and you can sort of put everything in there? That's what I've been doing. And then I remember that when I was growing up, my mom would always put tomatoes out on the windowsill. So obviously, for obvious reasons. I mean, if you have a tomato that's not fully ripened, if you put it on the windowsill, it's going to become redder and more ripe, and when it reaches the ripeness stage, then you can use it, right? But all the other red ones would be taken away from the windowsill and put on the counter, and then when you want to use a tomato, you just take it from there. But when I got older and started buying my own tomatoes, for some reason I thought it would be more cozy for them in the fridge. It turned out I was wrong, because the right way to keep your tomato, to make sure that it stays longer or fresher for longer and that it retains its taste, is for you to actually keep it on your kitchen counter. Who would have known? Now, if you're keeping it on the kitchen counter, it's going to stay fresher for longer, and you're going to have that proper tomato taste. Because when you put it in the fridge, what you sometimes find is your tomatoes get very watery inside, but not when they're on the counter. And another little tip while you're putting it on the counter is just make sure that you have, this little part over here is actually turned down, because when you do that, you are actually covering the only way that any moisture can get into the tomato, which means it stays drier for longer and that it will be fresher for longer. That's literally what we are looking for. And when I'm talking about keeping vegetables or fruits for longer, I'm just saying, try to stretch the rand a little bit. I'm not saying that these vegetables are going to live forever. So when you do your meal plan and you buy your veggies, just make sure that according to your meal plan, the veggies that you intend to use a bit sooner, that you buy in the right state. So if you want to buy a bag of tomatoes or a box of tomatoes, make sure that you've got some that are not properly ripe and some that are fully ripe. So you can use the fully ripe ones, and the ones that haven't ripened all the way, you can leave on the counter without stressing about them going off. And here I've got a punnet of mushrooms. Now, I love mushrooms, right? But normally when you want to buy them, they're normally a little bit pricey. So I literally wait for the times where you have them on special, and that makes it so much easier, because then you can buy a lot of them. But the problem is, if you buy a lot, they actually tend to go off very quickly. If you put them in the crisper room, I think maximum you can have them for about a week or so. But then they start to get a bit soggy, and once one of them starts to get soggy, it's a roller coaster downhill. Everyone just starts to catch on that, and then you're going to lose a whole punnet without having been able to use it. Now, this trick is going to help you keep your mushrooms drier for longer and actually go over the 1 week mark, even in the crisper room. So as you can see, I've got a paper bag. Hopefully you have a smaller paper bag, make your life a little easier. And as you can see, I've literally just opened the punnet. No washing, no brushing off, no cleaning, no water of any kind. And I'm going to be putting all the mushrooms, including the one trying to escape, inside the paper bag. And then rolling it up like so. So this is how I'm going to then be putting my mushrooms in my crisper room in the fridge, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of as much of the moisture as possible, and we are using the paper bag to make sure that we don't get any more moisture coming in or going out. So if the mushrooms start to get a bit warm and steamy, and I don't mean that in any bad way, the paper bag is going to ensure that it takes the wetness away, and that means they're going to stay dry up for longer. So you'll have mushrooms to use for stroganoff or mushroom chicken pie, I guess, for over a 2 week period, and sometimes if you're lucky, longer. So my absolute favorite find is this baby over here. So this is how you keep your green onions fresh for longer. So I've got, when you buy green onions, you always get that long, giant bunch, even if you want to use like 1 or 2 of them. But now you feel bad, because now you must leave the rest, and the next thing, 3 days later, they're all soggy and you can't use them. This is the way to stop that from happening to you. So what I've done is I did get one of those giant bunches and I've been using it over time. So basically this is what I've got left from that bunch. And if you keep them inside a glass jar, as you can see, I've got a mason jar over here, and put some water, just a little bit of water, and leave the green onions in here. They will stay fresh for as long as you want to. And in another video, I will actually show you how you can ensure that you have green onions for as long as you need, an abundance of green onions without having to buy them from the shop again. So yeah, I think we will do that at a later video.